Hi everyone! Welcome to week 24 of our 2016 Home Organizing Challenge. Join me here every week as I give you a simple task to focus on throughout the week, and you'll baby step your way to a more organized home. This week we're focusing on our emergency preparation kit. Now, we live in Florida and we have a constant threat of hurricanes from June through November. We're very lucky that we haven't had a direct hit in a very long time, but we like to be prepared. We have a family with 2 young children, and we like to make sure that we're prepared just in case anything happens. So I wanted to share with you today how we organize our emergency preparation kit. I'm not going to get too much into the details of what's inside. I'm really focusing more this week on making sure that your kit is not only created, but that you have it stored in a way that you're going to be able to access it quickly and efficiently, and making sure that all your family members know where everything is. So that's what we're focusing on this week. Now you can make sure that you have all of the correct necessities, everything that's recommended, by going online and just doing a simple search for emergency preparation kit supplies. You can find a good list that way with all the recommendations of everything that's in there if you're going to build your own kit. You can also purchase a prepared kit, for you if you're single, or for your entire family through the American Red Cross. So that's another option. I always recommend that once you have all of your supplies and you're going to start putting them together, I would recommend putting them in either a rolling suitcase or a backpack. You can see here we're using a rolling carry-on size suitcase for all of our kit, all of our items that are going in our kit. And then if you want, you could also use a backpack. The reason that I recommend one of those two things, or you could use both if you have a large family, is really it's going to take a little bit of the load off of you, because you're already going to be stressed, you're already going to be emotional, you're going to be frazzled, and the last thing you want to do is be loading up your shoulders with heavy items. Take a little bit of that load off and use a rolling cart, or use a backpack, which is at least going to kind of evenly distribute that weight. So that's one tip that I have for you this week. The next thing that I want to remind you of is, when you're putting everything in your kit, don't forget about your children's items, not just the necessities. Your children are going to be scared, they're going to be confused, they have no idea what's going on and why they have to stop playing this game to leave their house. So you want to make it kind of as painless for them as possible. And one way that I recommend doing that is to get them involved in the process and give them their own bag. So if your children are old enough to have the responsibility of carrying a backpack, go ahead and get them one and fill it up with their items. So let them help pick them out. Spend a day this week walking throughout the house and saying, let's pick out some items that if we ever had an emergency, and we had to leave our house for a couple days, what are some of the things that you would want to take with you? And you can put those in a backpack, include some water, include some toys and some books, and, a comfy blanket and things like that are going to remind them of home, because they're going to be scared, and they're, going to be confused about why they're leaving right now. So you can store those at the same place that you store your main family kit. I also wanted to show you an option for your bottled water. Now we have, the recommendation is that you have a gallon of water per family member per day. So there's 4 of us. So that's a lot of water to be carrying around at one time. So what we've done is we've just put a few bottles, a few gallons of water in this cooler bag. It's very sturdy. It has 2 padded shoulder straps. And so it's really comfortable as it can be if you're carrying water. So we have a few of these in here, and then we have our huge supply of water, not huge, but enough for the 3 days out in the garage. So that's one thing that you can do is, you can store some of the things that you want to grab and go in here, and then if you have another location, you can store some of the bigger things that you might not have room for all in your closet. Okay. The next thing that I wanted to tell you about was making sure that you're bringing some clothes with you. So yes, you have, your checklist that you're putting in your medications and you're putting in your non-perishable foods and your dog food and your cat food and things like that, and all your phone numbers. But also remember, when you have to evacuate your home, you have no idea what you'll be wearing at the time, and you're not going to be thinking about what you're wearing at the time. So if you're wearing something that's completely uncomfortable, it's going to make the situation even more uncomfortable than it already is. So put some of your favorite comfortable clothes in your suitcase or in your backpack. So that way, when you get to the location, you can put something on that reminds you of home and gives you a little bit of comfort. Maybe some comfortable shoes or some slippers or something like that. And it just gives you that extra comfort that you might need in that situation. And the last thing that I wanted to tell you about today is once you have all of your items pulled together, before you put them in your bag, go ahead and label them. It makes it a little bit easier for you to know exactly what's in that Ziploc bag full of stuff, or what's in that container full of things. So put a little label on the front of it, put what it is, maybe put an expiration date if it's non-perishable food. It could last for a few years, but it generally will have an expiration date. So go ahead and label it really big. And if you're, pulling things together, and let's say maybe you're doing it this week, I would say maybe in about 6 months to a year, go ahead and take a look at all the stuff that's in there. Go through anything that may have expired, get rid of it, and then replenish it. If you stay on top of your emergency supply kit, you should be prepared and as comfortable as possible in any emergency that comes your way. All right, well, that's it for this week. So spend 15 minutes a day every day this week, and you'll be on the right step. All right, have a great week. Bye-bye.